Hello, and welcome to another lesson with Professor Ami. Today, we'll be learning some basic programming concepts. My examples are mostly written in C#, but these ideas can be applied to most programming languages. Without further ado, let's begin. Primitive types. Applications use a lot of different types of data to do math and other interesting things, but when it comes down to it, there are some really, primitive types of data. The exact types of data vary between programming languages, but they usually boil down to characters, Boolean, integers, and floating point. Characters, or char, represent different, characters. These can be letters of the alphabet, symbols, or even numbers. Booleans, or bool, just represents true or false. Integers are whole numbers. There are many kinds of integer types, but they just hold different maximum number values. Floating point types, like float and double, allow storing really small decimal numbers or really large exponent numbers. Don't you love how programming is so organized and structured? Variables. In programming, variables store pieces of data in memory to be used later. We can declare a variable like this. The first part is the type of data being stored, while the second part is the name of the variable. Now that we've declared our variable, we can store data into it like this. This is called an assignment. We use the equal sign to help us assign a value to the variable. Basically, we're saying that we want the variable to equal this number. Of course, you can always just combine these two and do them at the same time. Variables are so good at remembering things. Now, if only I could do this in real life. Type systems. In order to use data, we need to understand when to figure out the type of data and what we're allowed to do with that data. Statically typed languages need to know the type before you're allowed to run anything. This avoids making mistakes. Dynamically typed languages don't need you to do this. We'll figure out what you mean when we get there. Strongly typed languages have strict rules about what you can and can't do with certain types of data. Weakly typed languages don't really care. It has full trust that you know exactly what you're doing. Because of this, we have languages that are static and strongly typed, dynamic and strongly typed, static and weakly typed, and dynamic and weakly typed. Personally, I'm a static, strongly typed kind of gal. If-else statements. An if statement will do something based on a certain condition. For example, this will only do something cool if the cool number is equal to 6, 7. If not, it'll skip it. But if we also want to do something immediately after finding out it's not true, we could do something like this. This is called an if-else statement. If the cool number is equal to 6, 7, it will do something cool. Otherwise, it'll do something less cool. Neat, right? Sometimes I feel like my life is just one big if-else statement. Operators. Operators are symbols used to represent some sort of, well, operation. There are a lot of operators, but here are some common ones. Arithmetic operators, logical operators, and assignment operators. Arithmetic operators are used for your basic math, like plus, minus, multiply, divide, and modulus. Logical operators are for conditions and comparison stuff. So your and, or, not equals, and not equals. Assignment operator is used for assigning values to a variable. This is pretty much the equal sign. Based on the specific data type or language, there can be a lot of different operators, but I think my favorite is modulus, just because it sounds funny. Functions. A function lets you package up lines of code to reuse later. This reduces duplicated code and groups up your code based on what they do. Different languages have different ways of writing code, so let's just pick C# as an example. These are the lines of code that the function will run. This is the name of the function. The word return is a special keyword that will tell us what comes out of the function as an output. And of course, this tells us what type of data it'll be. By the way, this will be how we use the function. If we want to make this function more useful, we can actually add something called parameters. Instead of using fixed values inside the method, we can pass in values from the outside, like this. So instead, we can use the function like this. Just as how you would organize your room, you should organize your code into functions. Thank you for attending my class. I do a mini lesson every stream on Twitch, but I'll do compilations like this every so often. So if you joined it, press like, hit subscribe, or leave a comment below and tell me what you think. Thanks for watching. Class is dismissed.